South Africa's parliament has moved into uncharted territory as it grapples with one of the most sensitive and high-stakes inquiries of recent years, the probe into allegations surrounding Mkhwanazi. This is no ordinary process. It tests whether lawmakers can hold power to account while protecting classified information that could endanger security or public trust. To deal with this unprecedented challenge, Parliament has turned to an unusual but symbolic safeguard, the system of two locks, two keys. This mechanism is designed to keep sensitive documents doubly secure, accessible only when strict protocols are followed, and is already drawing attention for what it says about the depth of the crisis and the seriousness of the inquiry. The principle is straightforward but profound. No single person can access the classified documents central to the inquiry without the presence and agreement of another authorized individual. The first lock is not only physical but procedural. It symbolizes the attempt to prevent unilateral tampering, leaking, or selective disclosure. The second lock exists as a reinforcement, making sure the classified files are not only stored safely but are also only retrieved under extraordinary supervision. Two keys, held by different custodians, are required. It may sound like a political thriller, but Parliament wants to show it understands the stakes and is willing to go further to protect information while ensuring accountability. The very need for such a system reveals just how combustible the Mkhwanazi inquiry has become. At the heart of the matter are allegations that strike at the credibility of state institutions and at individuals with far-reaching influence. Some of the evidence reportedly involves intelligence files, security assessments, and sensitive communications that, if leaked, could cause diplomatic embarrassment, endanger individuals, or expose state operations. That is why Parliament's safeguard is not just about documents, it is about balancing transparency with state secrecy. For many observers, the two locks and two keys system is a vivid metaphor for the tightrope Parliament must walk. On the one hand, citizens want full disclosure, accountability, and clear answers about whether Mkhwanazi abused his office, manipulated processes, or compromised national institutions. On the other hand, if sensitive information is mishandled, the fallout could be catastrophic, potentially undermining national security and weakening South Africa's standing abroad. This is why the system is as much about symbolism as it is about security. It signals to the public that lawmakers understand both the demand for accountability and the duty to protect the country. But this move has not come without controversy. Critics argue that the system, while secure, risks being weaponized to keep too much information out of the public eye. The very mechanism meant to protect against leaks could become an excuse for secrecy, shielding powerful actors from scrutiny and depriving citizens of their right to know. Opposition parties warn that while confidentiality is necessary, they will not tolerate secrecy that undermines the inquiry. They have called for regular updates, careful summaries for public release, and a clear line to distinguish what is legitimately classified and what is being hidden for political convenience. Still, there is no denying that this approach has captured the public imagination. South Africans watch with fascination and suspicion, wondering if Parliament is protecting democracy or just locking away the truth. The symbolism of two keys resonates in a country where trust in institutions has been eroded by years of scandals and leaders seeming above the law. This time, the message seems to be that no single person will hold the truth hostage, no single individual can decide what the public can or cannot know. Whether that message will hold up in practice is another matter altogether. The introduction of the two-lock system also shines a light on the broader crisis of confidence facing South Africa's democracy. After years of scandals and infighting, faith in Parliament's ability is thin. Citizens want outcomes. They want wrongdoers held accountable, not just more hearings ending in thick reports gathering dust. The system of locks and keys might demonstrate seriousness, but it will mean little if the final outcome is the same cycle of exposure without justice. There is also an international dimension. South Africa is not operating in isolation. Its democratic institutions are being watched closely by allies, investors, and skeptics alike. How the inquiry is conducted will affect domestic politics and the country's reputation as a constitutional democracy. The optics of double-locked files and strict oversight protocols may reassure some observers abroad that South Africa is serious about balancing openness with national security. For others, however, it may reinforce a perception that secrecy trumps accountability and that the ghosts of past secrecy still haunt its politics. Inside Parliament, the system has already forced lawmakers to adjust how they work. Members of the inquiry committee must now adhere to stringent security procedures. Meetings dealing with classified material are held in restricted spaces. Mobile phones are banned, and note-taking is tightly monitored. Members cannot take documents home or store them on personal devices. Everything happens under watchful eyes, and everything leaves a paper trail. It is bureaucracy at its most rigid, but for some lawmakers, necessary insurance. For citizens watching at home, however, the picture is murkier. They see locks and guarded files but wonder if they will get the truth. They see politicians arguing while the real question, what did Mkhwanazi do, and what it means, remains unanswered. They wonder if Parliament is working for them or simply protecting itself. In a climate of cynicism, that doubt could be damaging. The coming weeks will be critical. As the inquiry delves deeper into testimony and evidence, the tension between security and transparency will sharpen. Leaks could destabilize the process and undermine confidence. Excessive secrecy could spark outrage, fueling claims Parliament shields the powerful. A carefully calibrated balance will be essential, but it is easier said than done. The stakes are high, not just for Mkhwanazi, but for Parliament and South Africa's democratic integrity. At its core, the two locks, two keys mechanism is about trust. Trust that Parliament can handle sensitive information responsibly. Trust that lawmakers will not misuse secrecy to dodge accountability. Trust that citizens will ultimately get answers, even if some details must remain hidden. Trust that South Africa's fragile democracy can confront shadows without collapse. This story is bigger than one inquiry, it is about a nation wrestling with transparency while protecting itself. For South Africans tired of inquiries without justice and unaccountable leaders, this may be the final test. If Parliament can balance security and transparency, it may rebuild squandered trust. But if locks and keys are just another symbol of secrecy, this inquiry will be another missed opportunity in a democracy that cannot afford it. Democracy is about elections and speeches, it is how we handle truth, even when dangerous. South Africa's Parliament has put its trust in two locks and two keys. The real question is whether the people can still put their trust in Parliament.